Welcome to Taste Buds. I'm Debra Eckerling, goal strategist, writer, and foodie. And today I'm speaking with Emmy Award winning and Golden Globe winning comedy writer and comedian Monica Piper. And Monica's one woman play Not That Jewish just returned to the Braid in Santa Monica after a smash hit run off Broadway. Welcome, Monica. So excited
Hey,
to chat with you.
I'm so excited to be here. Hi.
Hi. So, Jewish food. I mean, it's like we go hand in hand, right?
Jewish food. Someone asked me, What's my favorite thing about being Jewish?" And that's such a weird question because there's so many things. But right up there was food. And they said, "Even gefilte fish?" I went, "Yeah, even gefilte fish." I just love the food. You know that every single time, not that I've had a lot of surgeries, but when I've had a few procedures where you're not allowed to eat all for hours and hours before the surgery, and, what I always ask for right afterward when my friends pick me up, they know they bring me a chopped liver sandwich because that's my comfort food after a procedure. I have to have chopped liver. It
Wow,
go
that's a
go
first.
figure. Yeah.
I've never heard of chopped liver as a comfort food before, but I get it.
Total comfort food, a chopped liver sandwich, some potato pancakes, and I'm a happy girl.
Is there like a food memory associated with chopped liver that you've got such a strong attachment to it?
Well, actually, it's very funny. There's a moment in my play that is from my childhood. That's true. I we eh, You see, we didn't belong to a temple, but on the high holy days, my mother would make us dress and stand in front of the apartment building so it looked like we just got home from temple. So, and it was working. But then my little 7-year-old neighbor, and I was 7, came over and said, "Did you really go to temple?" She was like really annoying little girl. And I went, "Well, not exactly." She goes, "Then you're not really Jewish." "Yes, I am." "How if you don't go to temple on Rosh Hashanah?" "Because my mommy and daddy and aunts and uncles and grandmas and grandpas are Jewish." So she said, "Well, okay, I guess, but you're not that Jewish." And I never forgot that. And that became the name of my play. But ran home and said to my father, "Dad," well, later, I mean, when we all went back to the apartment, I said, "Daddy, Carol said I'm not that Jewish." And he said, "There's no such thing. You're Jewish or you're not. What is your mother doing right now in the kitchen? Making chopped liver?" "Exactly." He said, "Gentiles don't sit home making chopped liver. They can't even eat it. It makes them gag. You love chopped liver. I rest my case." And so from then on, chopped liver became my identity. So
Wow.
I
That's
know.
I love that because you hear even gefilte fish, but mostly it's chicken soup. For me, for me, chicken soup is the cure all if I want to feel good.
Absolutely.
Like good. Like it's not even if I'm sick. If I'm feeling like I want those homemade memories, I put on the chicken soup because that makes the apartment smell like home.
Exactly. And it's funny. I love Jewish food. My mother was not that big of a cook. Um, so I didn't grow up with those smells in our kitchen. But 8 floors below us, in the same apartment building in the Bronx, was my Aunt Rose, my Uncle Hammy, and my cousin Maida. And Rose was my mother's sister, but they were very Jewish. They went to temple, they lit candles on Friday nights, and we were always there for Shabbat dinners. I once asked my mother, "How come we never have Shabbat dinners?" She said, "Well, let's see. Would you rather cook for 9 hours or take an elevator?" So that was my mother because all we had to do is go to Aunt Rose's apartment and we would eat everything. She baked, I had kugel there, I had chicken soup there, every Rosh Hashanah dinners, Shabbat dinners, brisket, you know. So it
And
wasn't that far away.
in that love of food, it really is. Why do you think that love of food is such a big part of our identity as Jews?
So I think a lot of different I think Italians feel the same way about their food. The French feel the Chinese, uh, Thai food. I think all cultures relate to their food, but Jews make a lot of noise eating it. I think Jews are noisier eaters than any of those other cultures. At least my family. I heard a lot of chewing, a lot of lip smacking. Um, I can't remember the question. Why did Jews so identify with food? I don't know, because we have so many holidays, maybe that revolve around food. There's that old joke. They tried to kill us. We survived. Let's eat. So we've all heard that,
Yeah.
but that's what we do. We eat and we laugh. We laugh. Even when times are tough, we find a way to laugh.
That's
That co
you're right. That is the other secret ingredient in being Jewish that's not so secret, right? It's the food and the humor, because if we didn't have it, what are we gonna do? Curl up and go home? I don't
e
think so.
exactly. And, so much of that is my play is about a lot of that, about passing it down, about my funny, funny father and me going into comedy and, having a funny son. And it's just about, it's how Jews it's a coping mechanism, it gets us through. There's a moment in my play when we're sitting Shiva for my mother, and it's very emotional. We've just been through an emotional moment in the play. It's not all laughs, it's a lot of laughs. I mean, you laugh, but you'll also cry. Um, and I say I had never seen my father look broken in my whole life. And they'd gotten to know him through the play because he's very present and very funny. And I said, my instincts kicked in. Dad, we got to laugh. We got to find a way to laugh. Um, and there's a moment in the Shiva where a neighbor, friendly, pleasant neighbor comes over with a brisket and she's holding the brisket. And she goes, Roy, if there is anything I could do, anything at all. And then she starts batting her eyelashes like, oh, he's single. It's a very funny moment. She goes, don't hesitate to call. She shakes her hip. So later, when I say to my father, we got to find a way to laugh. I know. How about next time Gladys asks if there's anything she can do, we think of some really funny, stupid stuff for her to do. And my father thinks about it and he smiles. He goes, okay, let's do it. So we do it. We act it out, and the audience is dying. They're laughing so hard because I pretend I'm glad as hell, Roy, if there was anything I could do. And he said, well, actually, there is. I just sold my car to a lovely Czechoslovakian gentleman who doesn't speak English. Could you please take him to the DMV and help him transfer the ownership? And she said, what? With the brisket. What? So we were able to laugh. And the moment you can find a way to laugh in really tough times, then you know you're going to be okay, right? You know it's going to be okay. It's it's a technique that we've had to use for thousands of years, you know? So that,
I'm trying to find a good pivot and I don't have one, so I'm just going to ask a different question.
go for it.
It, and so you've had a lot of success as a comedy writer and a comedian, and I know you've been doing this show for years. Let's go with
Uh,
Wayback Machine. Why? I mean, you're doing all this fun comedy stuff, but what can
well,
do?
you know, it's a progression. I started doing, um, I mean, I was a high school English teacher. That's how it all started. Um, and there's a joke. I had to leave teaching. I couldn't handle the money and prestige. You know, that's the joke. But I left teaching because I really had a desire to do comedy. So all right, so I was a stand-up comic, and then I became a sitcom writer. I was a writer on Roseanne, and then but I wasn't seeing my son enough because sitcom hours are very long. So anyway, long story short, I went into animation, became a writer on Rugrats, and then I was the head writer of Rugrats, and it was very cool. Um, and then I was working on Mad About You, and Rhonda, the uh, artistic director and founder of the Braid, which was formerly Jewish Women's Theater. Rhonda Spinak created it. It's her beautiful, fabulous vision. And she called me back in 2008 and said, I have uh, this Jewish women's theater, and I want you to write and perform original stories. So I said, but Rhonda, I'm not that Jewish. And she said, yes, you are. Create from the heart. And so I started writing stories about my Yiddish speaking grandmother, about her delicious food, about everything in my life, about my funny father. I called it schmatitude because he always put the schma in front of every word. You know, like at Passover, he said, and then Moses said, Pharaoh schmero. So that was my father. Anyway, I started writing all these stories over a period of about 8 years and performing for their salons while I was doing stand up all over the country. And and they became anyway, Rhonda came to me and said, why don't you take these stories and find a common theme? Let's find something that it's about and write a one-woman play. And I went, wow, you know, it was time for that next step. I had already been a stand-up, I'd already been a sitcom writer, I'd written for animation, and I loved it all. But this was really a challenge, and I love a good challenge. So I took a year to write. I took those stories, I deconstructed them, and with Rhonda's guidance and her wonderful sense of story, she helped guide me through it, and we came up with this play that opened at the Braid when the Braid first opened and when it was at a different location. And it was supposed to run for 6 weeks, and it ran for 16 months. And a New York producer heard about it and brought it to off-Broadway. And then they opened this new space, and Rhonda, it was the 10-year anniversary of when it opened the first time, and Rhonda wanted to bring it back. So we did. And
Here
I
you
think
are.
I caught you up on my whole life,
Oh,
but I didn't talk about food during that time. But
yeah,
any
I am certain that there was plenty of food and eating in whatever writer's room you were in.
oh, you have no idea. The food was beyond. At the beginning of the season of Mad About You, the the head guy of Levin, um, great guy. He uh, he had everyone weigh themselves, and he added up all the weight. And then at the end of the season, he had us weigh ourselves again. And as a group, we gained 200 pounds. And the writers, as we gained 200 pounds from the beginning of the season to the end of the season.
And
Because
how
you're,
many writers was that collectively?
no, collectively, yes,
No, I'm
collectively.
asking because it's a difference if it was 5 writers or 20.
Oh, you're right. There were 11 writers.
Almost smack dab in the middle of my guess. I love that. But you need the fuel, as I am a multi hyphenate, as you know, as a writer, we have to have food because then it makes the brain work better.
That's right. And because it was a room full of comedy writers, uh, a, a good percentage of them were Jewish. And so we ordered from a deli a lot. So that was great.
And people who tuned into this show know, but I am a former non-cook. So I used to think it was much easier to dial for dinner than it was to put ingredients together. And then I got my mom an Instant Pot for Mother's Day. This was 8 years ago. And we looked at this contraption and she said, "Is you using it part of my gift?" So we watched some videos and we figured it out. We both learned to love the Instant Pot. But for me, it was the gateway appliance because as a writer, you can put in ingredients and then go work on something and then be rewarded with food. These convenience items are made for people like us who don't want to fuss, but we want to eat.
Oh, it's such a great idea. You're making me think I should get one. Probably be a good idea.
I always loved food, but for me, it wasn't. My mom loved to cook, so I didn't really need to bother.
You're so lucky. Yeah, my mother, she was very artistic. She loved to paint. She had little sculptures she would do. And she was really bright and creative. And she cooked. I mean, she cooked. But it would be like a steak one night, chicken another night. It wasn't a love affair with cooking, especially since we know we could just always go to Aunt Rose's down 8 floors
Which
and
is
eat
even easier than dialing for dinner,
dialing for
traveling
dinner.
for dinner.
Back then, people didn't, or no one had cell phones. There was no such thing as DoorDash or, Grubhub. They didn't exist. You ordered for dinner. You ordered at a restaurant. You spoke to the guy who was so busy, especially a Chinese restaurant. And they had their own delivery guy. It wasn't as easy as it is now. We do it a lot. I'm so kind of embarrassed to say, but we do.
But it was a conversation. The food ordering, it was a thing,
Oh,
right?
it's a
It,
thing.
it was a part of the culture of the eating.
Exactly. What do you want? Just to decide, just have a whole family decide on where to order and what to order. You're right. That was your evening activity.
So you do not really cook, or do you cook?
I cook, but I'm busy. Um, and yeah, I cook. My son actually cooks a lot, and I'm very lucky. His latest thing is he got a smoker. What's it called? Bull pit or pit bull or pit. It's a smoker that's like an oven, and he's going crazy. He made a brisket last week. It took like 9 hours or something, but he loves it. He just whips up chicken out there, and he even made pizzas. He made pizzas out there. It's in the yard, and he just loves it. So I couldn't be happier, you know.
Amazing that you trained him to love food so much he wanted to cook it.
Yeah, he does love food, and we both love food. And now you're making me feel like I should cook something tomorrow. I actually enjoy cooking. I don't enjoy the cleaning up afterwards, but
Right.
I could get used to it. Maybe
So
that'll be my next venture. The Monica the Jewish cook. I'm gonna really get into. I'm gonna start cooking too. My friend, a friend of mine just made kugel, and of course she posted it on Facebook. And I'm salivating looking at it. It looked so good. And I have a friend who makes fabulous mandel bread. And every time she makes it, she brings me some. So, yeah, well, I'm
that was
getting hungry.
I should have warned you. I apologize. Monica, it's been so much fun chatting with you. Do you have any final food for thought that you want to leave people with?
Oh, food for thought. Now all I can think about is eating food. I may have to go to Froman's and get a chocolate or sandwich after this. I think I will. Um, Final thoughts. It's just that food is so much a part of it's just so much a part of life and Jewish life. We've said that, but it it's the camaraderie. I talk about in the play how much fun those Shabbat dinners were at my aunt's house because my parents and my aunt and uncle had a very eclectic group of wonderful friends. So as a child, my memories of these people talking and arguing and laughing, it's so much a part of me. Um, so I associate that with food. I associate that Fridays with Shabbat dinners and family and laugh and mainly laughing. Maybe that's it. I don't know, but it's such a big part of who we are. And there's certain foods that are just, oh, you know, I have uh, two friends who have latke parties every year at Hanukkah, and the latkes just keep coming, 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 and everybody's just full of applesauce and sour cream and again laughing. I just associate so much of the food with humor. I don't, maybe that's because my mother's cooking was so bad that we laughed. I don't know, but I just, food is what would we do without fabulous food? I don't know.
We'd be hungry or we'd be miserable. So we
I
might as
know.
well have that joy and the humor and the good food.
Might as well. And thanks for the tip about the Instapot. I'm gonna check it out.
Oh, okay. When you are ready, I will send you recipes because I started with only easy things. And the easiest thing, they tell you when you get it, you have to start by boiling water so you can figure out how it works, which is fine. This is what I do is I will do hard-boiled eggs and carrots because I love carrots. And then I will take it and I'm like, okay, it's dirty. I'll just rinse it out and I will make some noodles. And when that's done, I'm like, okay, it's dirty. I might as well make soup. So this is my rhythm
And
for
fabulous.
Instapot.
That's so great.
Anyway, it's been so much fun talking through with you, Monica. Where can people learn more about you and your show? And
Well, if you go to the-braid.org /Monica, then you can get tickets to the show. If you want to know about the braid and all the different shows that they're offering, um, they have these fabulous salon shows where they have five actors, brilliant actors and writers doing original pieces. They have a brand new one coming out. My show is running through May every Friday, every Saturday night and Sunday matinee. But the salon series is running through May all over LA, South Bay. They do performances in Beverly Hills, in the Valley,
they do a couple on Zoom as well.
and they do two on Zoom, and they do one at the Braid. and they do one up north in Palo Alto at the Palo Alto JCC, and another temple up in the Bay Area, and very popular because they're so good. But if you want information about me and my show, and you can go to the braid dot or braid the dash braid.org, and it'll tell you
Excellent.
everything.
And do you have your own website, or they just need to learn about you through the braid?
They can learn about me. Oh, they can Google me. And I have lots of stuff on YouTube. I do have a website, but I recently took it down because I've done so much new stuff that we're designing a new website. So soon.
Fun. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Monica. It's been an
Thank you.
absolute pleasure. I am also a fan of the braid, and David connected us. So thank you, David Chu, for that.
And you
Thank
did a wonderful, you were part of a wonderful panel last Sunday at the Braid,
I
right?
was for my new book, 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting. And I, as someone who's been covering the braid for a while, um, just because it's everything I believe in, which is sharing stories and getting the word out, to be on the stage and answering the questions was just such a pleasure and a joy. Very,
So
very
great.
grateful.
The title of your book again is 52.
52 secrets for goal setting and goal getting. How to stay focused, grow your network, and get more done in less time.
That's
So,
fabulous.
thank you. I interviewed 60 amazing people and asked them what is their secret for setting goals or getting goals. And it's a choose your own adventure of advice for people who need inspiration to keep moving forward.
That is great. You know, I have three very close friends who are all very talented writers and comedians and actors. And we started a month ago, every 2 weeks, we meet on Zoom for our goal workshop. And we each say what we want to accomplish in the next 2 weeks, what we're working on. And so then we meet 2 weeks later. We just met yesterday, and we tell them it really makes us accountable, and it makes us focus on those goals. And it's fabulous. And they're all very funny too. So we laugh a lot.
Uh,
And we eat.
and that's how I started with the goal sphere, because my background is communication project management. I was doing events at a Barnes and Noble, and someone came in and said, "We've started a writer support group." And for me, that was okay. What did you accomplish? What can we celebrate? What resources do you need? And what are your goals for next time? And that's what started me on this trajectory.
It's
And
fabulous.
because, as you say, as we agree, you need your people and you need your food, right? A little
Exactly.
encouragement goes such a long way.
That's great. I'm gonna get where can I get your book?
You can get my book wherever you buy your books,
Okay.
Amazon. But, oh, thank you. And if your group ever wants someone to come in and make a cameo appearance, let me know.
All right. That'd be
Yeah.
great.
Awesome. Thank you, Monica, for joining me. Thank you for tuning in to Taste Buds with Deb. Don't miss an episode. You can subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, and or your favorite podcast platform. And if you go to jewishjournal.com/podcast, you can read the article that go with each episode and learn more at tastebudswithdeb.com. Grab some food and enjoy eating it, and maybe laugh. It'll make the experience so much better. Until next time, bon appetit.